What is up, everybody? So we have some Sek'Kuar Deathkeeper for you today. This is really enjoyed the commander. I even got my little John shirt on, my little Jolt Cola. I think you can see it right there. Yeah, that's the Jolt channel Jolt Cola. I'll get into that story in another day, but yeah, that's where Jolt came from. But yeah, so as far as our commander this week, we've got Sek'Kuar Deathkeeper. So let's start off with the commander. So whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a 3/1 black and red Graveborn creature token with haste onto the battlefield. So basically, what we're looking to do with this commander is we're looking to get creatures out and then somehow make that creature die by either sacrificing itself or using an activated ability for it to die and hitting the graveyard. And then once it hits the graveyard, we're going to get into that 3/1 Graveborn token. Now, when I built this deck, I wanted to go. This is, to be honest, guys, I have no removal in here. I think the only removal I have is Living Death. And so this is 100%. This is just like a Feast or Famine Secure Deathkeeper. And it's not even combo. It's just like, I just wanted to stick as much fun stuff in here as I can. And so, yeah, the deck definitely reflects that. It's a little it's a little glass cannon sometimes, but it's a lot of fun, man. Like, when I approach Commander, I like to have fun. So, skimped on some basic necessities for a commander deck. So if you're going to sleeve this bad boy up, make sure you get some removal in there. But yeah, I opted to just go for more fun cards. So, but the main thing that we're doing is we're making creatures hit the graveyard, and so we're going to get a 3/1 token from Sek'Kuar. But one of the things I wanted to do is amplify the things that happen whenever a creature dies. So let's start off with the enchantment. So we have Tortured Existence. This is just kind of nicely utility creature, right? Not utility creature. Utility enchantment right here. So for 1 black, discard a creature card, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So what you can do is, like, let's say we get down, where is it? Wood Elf. No, not Wood Elf. So big. Secure Tribuilder. So let's say we get him down, crack him, get into a basic. Then we can use the Tortured Existence to chunk a card in the graveyard, and we could chunk even like a Bloodghast or something like that. So we chunk that card in the graveyard, return it back to the battlefield, and then we can activate it again and get into another Graveborn token. So this is kind of a way to kind of just get a little extra miles out of the creatures that we've used for as far as utility creatures. Same thing with Phyrexian Reclamation. 2 mana, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Once again, it's just kind of hitting on that, bringing reoccurring threats out of the graveyard for you to sack them and get into some stuff. Now we have a sack outlet enchantment, Goblin Bombardment. Sacrifice a creature, Goblin Bombardment, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So we're going to use this as a way to get into a quick sack outlet. We can also use it as a little bit of spot removal. If we get into a bunch of Graveborn tokens, we can kind of send that 1 damage up top to our opponent. With the right over here, Cryptolith right, creatures you control add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And these Graveborn tokens, they enter the battlefield, they have haste. So if you get the get the right out there, you can instantly tap those Graveborn creatures for mana. So you can get into a spot where if you've got something kind of janky going on, a bunch of tokens, you can get that up and running. Then we have the Wold Mysteries. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, investigate. So you're going to get a clue token on that, and then whenever you sack a clue token, you get a 1/1 white human soldier token put on the battlefield. So this is kind of like, it's a pretty cool card for the deck in that it you get the clue token whenever a creature dies. Now if you have something like where is it? I think we have Parallel Lives, 1 or more tokens on the battlefield. So if you get into the tokens right there, then you'll get a few extra clue tokens, and then whenever you sack a clue token, you're going to get 2 human soldiers with an amplifying effect out there. Next we have Golgari Germination. So whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a 1/1 green sapling creature onto the battlefield. So once again, this is just getting a little extra miles out of like any of our creatures that die. So we're going to get the Graveborn creature, and then we'll get a 1/1 green sapling creature out of that. Parallel Lives and Doubling Season in here just to double up the number of tokens that we get into. Have some fun with that. Then we have Gutter Grime. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a slime counter on Gutter Grime. Then put a green ooze token power onto the battlefield with this creature's power and toughness equal to the number of slime counters on Gutter Grime. So if you get into spots where you can start sacking a bunch of creatures, Gutter Grime's really fun. So stuff like this is, I opted to put it in there just because you know, I very much enjoy graveyard decks. So this is one. If I'm going to skimp on any type of removal and your basic commander building blocks, it's going to be a deck like this, just because I want to get into as much fun as I get. It's basically like your win condition is fun. Like you need to go so over the top with tokens that's how you're going to win. So another one, and I do pull. Well, I'm not going to ruin anything, but with Hellion Eruption, sacrifice all creatures you control, then put that many 4/4 red Hellion creature tokens onto the battlefield. So if you get you get into spots where you have a bunch of Graveborn tokens out there and you want to make a bunch of 4/4s, let's say you've got an Anger in the graveyard, so all creatures you control have haste, so that's an entirely possible way to win the game. They also have War Storm Surge, so whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. So once again, we can start sacking creatures, get those into the battlefield triggers, direct them up to our opponent, or take out any creatures that we need to. So this is kind of like our win condition, or really amplifying up our win condition with Sek'Kuar. Now onto these sack outlets, because you're going to need some type. Oops. Let's get this back over there. Okay, so you need some way to get some of your creature cards in the graveyard. You know, we have Secure Trivalder over here. You know, you can activate his ability and he'll hit the graveyard and it'll trigger Sek'Kuar. But sometimes you get your creatures out, you're going to need these sack outlets. So we have Viscera Seer, pretty good, your standard sack outlet. Sacrifice a creature, scry one. Then we have Bloodthorn Vampire. Sacrifice a creature, she gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Once again, we're just using her for her free sacrifice. I mean, the +2's nice. There's been plenty of times where I've gotten in the spots where I can sack a bunch of creatures to get into like a pretty big blood throne to swing in. So it's entirely possible right there. We also have Carrion Feeder. You know, once again, you can get in weird spots where you can start sacking a bunch of creatures, get a bunch of +1 counters on them. Then we have Ashnod's Altar, so it is a free sack outlet, and then we get to add 2 colorless mana to our mana pool to get that up and running. Then we also have Spawning Pit, so sacrifice a creature, put a charge counter on Spawning Pit, 1 colorless, remove 2 charge counters from it, and then put a 2/2 colorless spawn artifact creature token onto the battlefield. So these are all of your free kind of sack outlets. And one thing you may notice is that excuse me, I meant to mute my mic on that one. Viscera Seer, not Viscera Seer, Bloodthorn Vampire has sacrifice a creature instead of sacrifice another creature, and that's pretty big in a deck like this, because sacrifice a creature means that Bloodthorn can sacrifice herself to herself, just like Viscera Seer can sacrifice himself to himself. So if you're looking to put a sack outlet in here, make sure it has sacrifice a creature, because that's going to count them. So worst comes to worst, let's say you get Carrion Feeder down and your opponent casts some type of board wipe or something, you can at least sacrifice Carrion Feeder in response to himself, or not in response. You can activate Carrion Feeder sacrificing himself to get that Graveborn token. But you know, if they have a board wipe coming, but it's something to note that you can do that. Now, as far as the big fatties in the deck, we've got Bloodspore, Devour 1. So what we can do is, you know, if we have a bunch of Gravespawn tokens out there, then we can Devour and increase the number of whenever each other creature we control enters the battlefield with the same amount of counters on it. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional X +1 counters on it, where X is the number of +1 counters on Bloodspore. So basically, if he has 5 counters on there, each creature is going to enter the battlefield with 5 counters on there. So it's kind of a way for you to sack some creatures with Secure out there, get in some extra Graveborn tokens, and then get those triggers on them. Then we have Sifter Skulls, so whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion creature token on the battlefield. Once again, these are all cards that we're looking to try and amplify with Parallel Lives. So there's one time where I get down Bloodspore. I don't think I recorded it, but I had some like 2120 like Gravespawn tokens with Parallel Lives out there, and we devoured a bunch of creatures. So, I mean, the fun is definitely there. And we also have Boltwing. So whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gets +2 until end of turn. So these Graveborn tokens have haste. So something like this is going to turn those 3 1s into basically 5 1s, and that's pretty big deal in Commander. Next we have Ogre Slumlord. Ogre Slumlord, whenever another non-token creature dies, and that doesn't count just for your creatures, it counts for opponent's creatures, you may put a 1/1 black rat token onto the battlefield. So once again, you can start sacking your creatures, get into a bunch of rat tokens, and then he grants all of the rat tokens Death Touch. And plus, come on, rat tokens. Pretty cool, man. We also have the Unhallowed right here, so it gives all of our creatures Undying. So basically, once we sack them, they're going to come back onto the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and then we can sack them again to get into a few more Graveborn. Just Avenger of Zendikar, just some good stuff. Just synergize. It works really well with Parallel Lives and Doubling Season. And then we have Craterhoof. Oh yeah. If you can run Craterhoof, always run Craterhoof, man. If you've got it. So yeah, we got Craterhoof in here to amplify the Gravespawn tokens. Now, as far as Reoccurring, that's kind of like the main win condition type of the deck. we also have Reoccurring Creatures. So I'm running 3 of them in here. We have Bloodghast, Nether Trader, and Reassembling Skeleton. So these are all creatures that you can sacrifice to get into a spawn token, and then bring them back out for cheap, or just by simply playing a lane with Bloodghast. But yeah. Oh, we also have Goblin Sharpshooter. So doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter, deals 1 damage to our creature player. So I just wanted to highlight that one. I think it's a good card to end on. Oh, we're also running the Zulaport and Blood Artist package in here too. So I love playing any type of Aristocrats action. So if I can jam Blood Artist and Zulaport in the deck, I'm gonna jam it in there. So other than that, yeah, I did. I definitely skipped on a lot of removal, and but I tried to make up for it for a lot of fun. But definitely enjoyed the deck. I love Graveyard Interactions. It's been a very fun deck to build. So definitely expect to see it in the future for sure, because yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think that's going to be it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. I've got 4 matches up for you, so check them out. All right, guys, have a good weekend.